Hello, hello. Good Lord. Realize I got the collar popped like I'm back in the 90s. All right. Hey, how's everybody doing? Today's live. I'm getting ready to head out for some meetings, so figure get this live in a little quicker. I made a post today about the difference between, we're December 1st, right? And a lot of people wait until the new year to start their resolutions. And the whole meaning of the post was like, look, you got a month before the beginning of the year. If you're waiting for that year to begin, and speaking from personal experience, if you're waiting for a date in the future to start something, the question that I always ask, and you have to ask because this one thing really ties into how you approach stuff. So in this instance, it's waiting versus procrastination and knowing the difference. Yesterday, it was chasing leads and deals versus follow up. A guy asked a great question like, how do you know the difference? And the difference boils down to this one thing. And the one thing is intention. What is your intention behind going after a lead? Are you chasing it because you feel you need that lead, or are you just doing follow up because it's a part of your process? Same thing here. Are you waiting because you're setting things up in a certain order, and it's not a matter of if it's going to get done, it's a matter of when, and you're pulling the trigger on that when it's time? Or are you procrastinating? Means it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if I get to it, because you are avoiding it. So what you're going to have to ask yourself, and that's what I do a lot of times with my clients, is we just boil it down to, look, you say this needs to get done, it's not getting done, or you say this needs to get done, do we have a plan in place to effectively execute that when it's time? Or you say this needs to get done, are we just not getting it done because you're avoiding it? Are you resistant to it? Is it something, a limiting belief that's keeping you from doing it? Is it, are you avoiding making those cold calls because you're afraid of the rejection? But really, it's not the rejection. It's actually, your father yelled at you when you were a kid, and like you're traumatized from it, so you just avoid doing it altogether. Like, we have to find out, we have to ask ourselves those questions and really get down to the nitty gritty of what is your intention behind the action or the inaction that you're actually taking. So that's the thing. If we're waiting and we're setting things up in a certain way, that's actually taking action in a order that will produce an activity when the time, or produce an outcome when the time is correct for that timing of it. That's waiting. Procrastination is avoiding, and a really good indicator of whether you're procrastinating or just waiting to get it set up is how you feel. Is there guilt around not doing it? Is there shame, like, oh, I should be doing this? And should is a great indicator of if you're judging and causing yourself some resistance, because what happens is we don't do it, we're avoiding it for a specific reason. And then instead of actually addressing that reason, we layer guilt, we layer shame on top of it. And then it becomes a matter of, we're not good enough, we're procrastinating, we're doing this, when in reality, it's just a story that's over here that's operating, that is bringing more of that negative energy into that process to actually keep you from doing it. And then it's not just a matter of I didn't do it, it's I didn't do it and I'm not good because I didn't do it, and all these things. So again, boil it back down. It's the same thing with, are you chasing a lead, or are you just following up? Are you waiting, or are you procrastinating? It's the same thing. It's just a different energy and a different intention that you're bringing to it, right? So you got to be really in touch with how you're operating. You've got to be really honest with what you're bringing to the table in regards to how your actions are, how your energy is, and what you're actually doing. Intention is everything, with regardless of business, relationships, everything you do. It's one of the key indicators of how you're going into an event. Your belief system creates that intention and creates that action, and then the outcomes are a result of that. So that's the big thing for today. Real short live. It's real simple. What's your intention with waiting till, if you have a resolution that you're starting? The biggest thing and the best thing you can do for yourself, just like with doing like buying a software, doing all that, do it now with nothing to support you, and then build that support as you start going through that process, because starting it now with nothing will actually start showing you where your opportunities to be more efficient are, how to put things in place, where to go. It's a lot easier to make calls on a dialer at 1,000 1,000 dials, for an hour, when you start hand dialing first, because you get the process, you get to learn how to do it, and then you start increasing your efficiency. If you go straight into, it's like taking a kid that just learned how to ride a bike to driving a Lamborghini, they're not going to have the skill set to really operate that. So you got to start with an old beater car, like I got at 16, and work your way up, right? So that's the process for today. Question your intention. What's your intention with going into these things or not going into these things? And then how can we shift that? How can we bring awareness to it of, hey, if my intention is procrastinating, I'm protecting myself in some way. It's always a benefit at some point, and then it outgrew its beneficialness, if that's a word. And then what is the intention? What resistance am I feeling? How do we address that resistance? How do we shift that intention? How do we take action the way we need to take action? Thanks. Have a good day.